Good morning to you all. Um, yeah, you're probably wondering where and how I increase the number of phones to the collection. Okay, um, of recent times, adding phones has been a slow process. I think we've probably got too many now anyhow, and the source that I normally look to buy the odd phone is eBay. In the old days it used to be boot sales, but I think boot sales are nearly a thing of the past now. But anyhow, I'm not constantly but quite often looking through what they've got on offer on eBay or Etsy, and tend to go for phones that are in England. Now, having said that, it's the postage that normally is the answer where it's expensive. In a load of cases, the postage is often more than the actual phone. So anything that looks unusual, when I say unusual to me, and it's in England, I tend to think, I might have a go at getting that. Well, anyhow, this happened to me a week or so ago. I was looking through eBay, and an unusual looking phone. When I say unusual, it's one I didn't recognise, and I thought, where's that? Thinking it was a foreign phone, and it was in England. And I thought, I haven't got an example of one of those. The price they're asking is fairly sensible, and the description was that the phone had been in use 10 years ago, where a friend of theirs had rewired it. When I say rewired it, they made it suitable to be used in England. So I thought, well, let's go for it. Reading further on, the seller, who was very honest, did say that he tried it out prior to putting it in a box, that it didn't work. But it couldn't be much, because it did work 10 years ago. But time is quite a thing. Anyhow, I thought, no, I'm going to take a chance and get this. But I had no idea the country where it came from, who made it, or anything. And I thought, I don't know. What I did do, funnily enough, is look through Etsy to see if there was a phone similar to that, and there was. And lo and behold, it came from Austria. The next stage was to check the name on the phone, and in this case it was K and S. K and S written in like a circle, KS, with the K and the S on top of it. And I thought, well, I'm still none the wiser. So looking through Google, K and S, no, nothing came up. But then I didn't know it was SK or K and S. Well, I tried both ways round. When I tried K and S, something did come up, and it was the radio museum, and they had put up a radio, and it was made by a company called K and S. So that was a start to find out who they were. Anyhow, to cut a long story short, it was a company run by Johann Kaps and Son in Vienna. As we all know, Vienna is in Austria. I've been there. very much enjoyed it. Although I didn't go on the big wheel. I'm terrified of heights. Anyway, I'm drifting off again. This phone looked like it was made by Johann Kaps and Son, Vienna. Also, on one of the other phones that was on offer by, it was either eBay or Etsy, and that was by a company called Shrek, which once again I hadn't heard of either of these companies. But it looked like the phone I've got was a K&S, because that was the name that was on the base, which I'll show you in a minute. But also there's a label there with a circuit diagram with the name Shrek. So I think you'll find this little instrument is a bit of a mixture. Now I'll show you what it's got on the back. Be careful, it's one of these funny ones. And once again, using one hand is always awkward. And it's upside down. I do apologise for that. Let me try and turn it around so you can make sense of it. Because I want to show various things on here. There's it's been overprinted. There's an original date, 1957, with the KS mark above there, engraved into the base. The base seems to be painted with like a hammerite paint. It's actually quite distinct. It's OPT, which someone will probably correct me out there, probably refers to this type of telephone. And I noticed the other ones being sold also had that same three letters. O with, I think, an umlaut above it, PT. Could that be Post and Telecoms? It could even be Austrian Post and Telecoms. I don't know, but that's what it could be. And that number there, which seems to vary whichever phone you look at. It's also got another date, 64. Shown twice. So I would think that this phone was probably first made in 57. It went back to the factories, as did the often English phones used to go back. We'll try and stand it up again if I can. It's very awkward using one hand. There we go. It looks like it probably went back and it was refurbished, and obviously parts were properly changed. But the two makers, Kaps and Shrek, probably made the same parts to design of the Austrian telecommunications, and whatever part they had it at hand was put in to replace. So that's what's probably happened. Quite a nice looking back. It's compact. Obviously a Bakerlite case. If I can show you the dial. The dial, I've never ever seen a dial like that before. And it appears this was the same dial that was on the other phones that was shown, either by either maker. So it was obviously the standard dial used. The dial in this case started off okay, but it seized up, so it needed the old oil treatment. I tend to use watch oil simply because that's what I've got in the little bottle. I bought it donkeys years ago at one of the clock fairs. So that's what I put in there. It's, as I say, it's got a cover over it, and you control the speed. In the centre is a plus and minus with arrows that obviously changes the speed. I haven't altered it because putting some oil on it made it work, so that is functioning okay. There's a bit of mystery about the bell. It doesn't seem to want to work on my system, which is Virgin. I've come across this before. There's nothing wrong with the bell or the capacitor. It just it seems to not be suitable on Virgin, which really is a touch tone service, but it does use or allow you to use loop disconnect. Also interesting to see all the components that are screwed on have been dotted down with a little bit of paint to keep the screws from undoing. Here we've got the cradle contacts. The dial, as I say, has got a cover around it. It looks in very good nick for the year. There's we got the rest of it. You've got the induction coil there, which is very similar to some of the other phones I've got. I'm thinking of that, I can't think of the blooming name, but a German, one that uses German components. Although this one, the name on it is Schrack. So it's Schrack. Can't make out what's on the bell coils, but the rest of it, as I say, the base is definitely K&S. So that more or less is this little phone, which is no longer a mystery. I've worked it out. You have to be a bit of a detective to find out certain things. And being a nosy so-and-so, as I am, a lot of people who know me say I'm very nosy. Or inquisitive, perhaps that's a better word, inquisitive. And the German style handset. Oh, incidentally, when I tried it out, there was no transmission. The transmission was dead. And I thought, oh well, let's have a little look. Took the transmitter capsule out, tested the resistance, and it was no resistance at all. It was just dead. So I changed that for another one that I pinched out of one of the other phones, which happened to fit. That was off of the Tesla phone, and popped that in, and it worked beautifully. So I thought, well, I'll leave that in there. If another one turns up, or another insert turns up, or if I've got one, I can put it back onto the Tesla phone. Anyhow, that is more or less all I've got to say, I think. Whoever put the cord, well, I'm thinking the original cord is that one, but someone's obviously fitted the English type of plug on. I still don't know how they do that. One of these days I'll learn how it's done. And this is on not on a flat lead, it's a round one, so I don't know how they've done that, but it works perfectly. And yeah, they're all quite a well-made phone, I would think. The only thing they haven't put the red paint on is the two little screws that hold the bell gongs on. I thought they would have done that, but they haven't. But not to worry. The base is held on, it's hinged. The base is hinged, as were the other ones that were on offer, with the little screw there, which goes into that little screw there. And that there is used to, well, it looks like it's there for a number. Don't quite know how to use that, but that's what I would assume that is. Or by loosening that you could lift the cover up without the bottom one, so it's not too clear. There's a button, earthing button there, which would have been there, but it's blanked out. Obviously it's not used on this phone. The handset's got what they call a spit cap. That's that part there. The receiver is actually terminated in, whereas the transmitter is just placed in, which is normal on a lot of European phones. Anyhow, that's more or less all I've got to say about this. So yeah, I think I got a good buy there. All right, you expect something to go wrong. At least the seller did say that it was not 100% as regards working, but the rest of it was okay. And I asked him to make sure it's extra padded, which he did. And okay, it cost a little extra to have it done, but money well spent, because had the case have been broken, there's no way that could have been replaced or repaired. It's Bakerlite, and that is stuff which, once that's broken's broken. If it's repaired with araldite, it shows. So no, I got away with that. So anyhow, thanks again for watching. Any comments please make. And yeah, we will pop this one. I don't know what I'm going to put on next, but it's just an insight of how I increase the phones in the collection. It's a slow process. I'm normally after the unusual things. There's hundreds of 706s on eBay, 746s. Mind you, the price of all phones seem to be going up. And I'd repeat, it's an investment. Definitely an investment. And when I first started many years ago, although some of the earlier stuff did cost a bit because it was rare, the prices then dropped mainly by going to boot sales. You were picking up stuff for a couple of pounds here, a couple of pounds there. Things now that do cost a bomb. But anyhow, that's all I've got to say. So once again, thanks for watching, and I'll pop this up. Fortunately, I've got away with it without any noise, because in my street they're working in the street with pneumatic drills and things, but they haven't started yet, so I've got away with it. So it didn't sort of obliterate me talking. Anyhow, thanks again. Thank you.